I've recently become obsessed with getting the most out of items in JRPGs as they're always underused. You know when you're packing the maximum amount of everything alongside a fat stack of megalixirs and then the credits roll and you didn't use any of it. Or when enemies drop an item you've never seen but you don't even bat an eyelid because you just know it's shit. Yeah, well, I'm sick of you guys neglecting items, so I'm gonna force the pendulum back myself. Let's see how we go in Final Fantasy VII. Okay, so rules for this run are, as always, items only. No attacking, no magics, no summons, no secondary effects such as stealing or morph, but anything within the item command is fair game. I'll still equip materia and stronger armor, as well as weapons generally for their materia growing properties, I just won't use them to attack. Since money will be tighter than the average play as I'll need to keep a stacked inventory at all times, I may need to sell materia. If you're unfamiliar with Final Fantasy VII, what are you doing watching this video? Anyway, selling materia is kind of a sin in a regular playthrough, however, they are a great source of cash. Materia are coloured baubles that can be slotted into the weapons and armour of each character, and through battle accumulate an experience of their own, AP. Enough AP will level them up, granting extra effects, but as I won't be using these effects, I'll be cultivating them to sell. The AP value dictates what a merchant will pay, and certain weapons can have double and triple yield, so I'll be on the lookout for those. Now that we've been over some light intricacies, let's begin the run. Unfortunately, it's already dead as we open with two mandatory battles, one against two Shinra soldiers and the other against the tutorial boss Guard Scorpion, and there's no way to acquire items in advance. I looked into skipping these events, but it doesn't seem like I can. Not unlike my Dragoon run, I'm gonna have to beat these regularly and then begin the challenge once we get to the Sector 7 slums, which is the first area that sells items. So technically no, it can't be done, at least with my game knowledge, but I reckon once I have access to damage items, I can clear the rest. If there's any way to skip these encounters, please let me know. So I spend the first couple minutes chopping down the grunts, fleeing from every random encounter, slapping the tutorial boss with regular attacks, and then running from more Shinra soldiers before catching a train to see my girl. Now we arrive at the Sector 7 slums, which is where the run begins. From here, I grab the loot around the bar and sell everything, including Barrett's weapon dropped by the former boss. I'm not gonna need it, but I am gonna need the gil. Lots and lots of gil. Ethers are great, selling for 750 a pop, and will be the backbone of the early game run. I equip my boys with materia, buy 40 grenades, and head on to blow up Sector 5, which, should be fairly easy with all those explosives I just acquired. Running on through, we arrive at our first real boss, Airbuster. He's got 1200 health and a chunky dumper, but our grenades do about 130 damage a pop, so we only need to hit him 10 times. Should be easy enough. As I spent all my money on grenades and nothing on increasing my defense, he left my party in tatters. Tifa went down fast, which is the dream, Barrett shortly followed, which I'm sure is someone's dream, and Cloud just edged out a victory with 14 health. Luckily, Airbuster drops a Titan Bangle, which will bulk Cloud up a little bit. If only we didn't fall to our deaths, because a Bangle's not going to stop that. The next area is Eris's Church, where there are 3 skippable encounters. If I nail each of the barrel drops from the beams above, I can dodge all 3, which is great. Entering the Sector 6 slums, I dump my inventory again and stock up on grenades, which gives us around 57. I want a couple more as we're about to string bosses back to back, and I'd really like to secure victory. Then we take Eris on her dream date, to the Red Light District. Now we dress the main character up as a girl to infiltrate the mansion of a degenerate sex pest and get our girlfriend back. I wouldn't usually bother getting the best of everything for our cross-dressing femboy protagonist, however if Don Corneo chooses him in the following section, I can avoid 2 battles of 3 enemies each, so 6 total grenade uses. That's 480 gil worth of explosive, and getting the best chance for Don to pick Cloud only costs 280, so I'm making a net profit of about 2.5 grenades. God, sounds like such a waste of time. It's probably not worth it, but I don't know what lies ahead, so I feel like 200 gil could genuinely make a difference. Don picks Cloud, we save our pittance, get dropped into a sewer and fight Apps, the Poo Devil. He's rocking 1800 health, but we're still chugging through at 130 damage a pop, and this dumbass hits himself for like 160 whenever the tide rises. What an idiot. After a couple grenades, he falls, leaving us with 55. I wonder if it would have been cheaper to spam potions and let him kill himself. I grab the potion, the steel materia, and head for the train graveyard. There's a bunch of loot here, including ethers, which is always good to see, and then I head to the Sector 7 support pillar to fight Reno. Reno's only got 1000 health, barely does any damage, and drops an ether. I've heard great things about Japanese twinks, but this really confirms that. I blow 8 or so grenades on him and leave everyone for dead as we narrowly swing past the crumbliest pizza ever half-baked. Heading back to Sector 6, I grab everyone some slightly better armor, which more than doubles their defenses. I figure if they can take an extra hit or two, I don't have to buy potions. This is a very dangerous plan. Then I buy more grenades, got a fat stack of 72, and head back to collect my child. Want to show all my grenade collection. After a sweaty round of I-fucking Eris's mother, we do some climbing and arrive at the Shinra HQ. I usually love bursting in through the front door, it's very gratifying, but I want to avoid battles here, so we're going to sneak off to the side entrance and do a little leg day. See you on the other side. Arriving at the 60th floor, we're ambushed by 3 armored guards who take 6 grenades to dispatch, but carefully sneaking past the following room will avoid any more unnecessary encounters. From here, it's a lot of faffing about, collecting whatever items I can to bulk my coin purse as much as possible, and slowly making my way to the top. I do get pincer attacked at one point, disallowing flight, so I had to burn 2 grenades to kill a regular enemy and get out of the battle. Fingers crossed that's uncommon, otherwise I'm fucked. Arriving near the apex, we free our boy Red and fight a big boss guy. His health and damage output are low, and he's got these little minion dudes, but they don't matter. I accidentally threw a grenade at one of them, but once I realized my mistake, I bounced back quickly, and I took him out. Then we hit the top floor, bully a fat kid, and Barrett takes a few friends down an elevator to fight 2 more bosses. These have a collective 2600 health, but nothing noteworthy. We're still stacking grenades, and they go down with minimal issue. I mean, we lose the dog, but whatever. Cloud's got his own boss to fight, the newly President Rufus. He's got a pet cat who dies in a single grenade, as cats are known to do. Humans are a little more resilient, however, and Rufus takes 4, with a couple breaks for healing. He flees, and so do we, but while he's a loser nerd and takes a helicopter, we opt for a cooler method of transport. Get your bike shorts on, boys. Show the world what God gave you. After running through one of the coolest minigames still to this day, we get accosted by a giant chicken nugget machine, and he hits like a spiked truck. His physical attacks aren't too bad, but out of nowhere he does this spinny fire Beyblade shit and wipes my crew. What the fuck? I thought this game was easy. I reload, try it again, and clear it with ease. I think my main issue was dying, so I didn't do that this time. I also realized this battle could have been one easier had I put everybody in the back row. I don't think rows will affect item damage, but they sure do affect defense. Now that we're free from Shinra's tyranny, we head to the Calm flashback. While this particular section has no real need to fight enemies, there's a mandatory dragon you can't flee from. However, Sephiroth is in the party, isn't controllable, and automatically kills it in 2 hits. We mash through the hordes of dialogue and head to Chocobo Ranch. Luckily, I'm rolling in cash from all the ethers I found along the way, so I can easily scrape up for a Chocobo lure and some greens. And luckily for us, in the first battle, a Chocobo appears. Greens are a vegetable used to pacify the bird while you dispatch enemies, and are selected from the item menu, so we're golden. He arrives alongside 2 elephant mongoloids. With each of these taking 2 grenades and RNG being kind, the Chocobo didn't run. I mash through the Mithril mines, grabbing everything in there along the way, and come out at Fort Condor, which I think I'm going to skip for now, because that's a money pit, and as much as I enjoy the minigame, it's not worth the risk. We head to Lower Junon, stock up on grenades, 99 this time, as this is the last place in the game we can purchase them. I've been pretty lucky so far, in that the regular enemies are allowing me to flee, there's been a solid flow of ethers to sell, and bosses are not only weak, but very infrequent. My memory's fairly shaky from here, however, so I want to future-proof myself a little, and to achieve this, I recruit Yuffie, who is level 17 and has a bunch of slots to slap materia on for AP generation. The rest of my party have their starting weapons and a level 10, so the Hard R Ninja will be a great boon for a desperately weak roster. I'd fight a couple battles, as there's a small fortune burning a hole in my pocket, so restocking grenades ain't no thing, but the party only gains a level or so before I move on. I don't think it's worth grinding at this point, and to test this theory, we dive headfirst into the next boss, Bottom Swell. He's got this move that blocks you from attacking and also slowly drains your health, and I attempted the Valiant Grenade Rush but lost Barrett and Cloud in the process, so I guess getting Yuffie was the right call. He drops a Power Wrist, an item that sells for 3700 gil, then we enter Upper Junon via Dolphin and try to blend in with the locals. It doesn't go great. I want to do well at this minigame, as if you get a rating of over 50%, you're rewarded 5000 gil. After 3 attempts, I only managed to get the second best prize, 6 ethers. That's only a 500 gil discrepancy, as 6 ethers sell for 4500, so I'll let it ride. This minigame's dumb. Following this, there's a second minigame, which isn't as stupid, and I nail it for a Force Stealer, a weapon for Cloud with double AP gain. Thank you, President Rufus. Very cool. We climb aboard the ship, grab a new weapon for Yuffie with double materia growth, and fight Genova Birth. I made the intentional effort to buy some high potions before we set sail, just in case. The ass blasting I copped from the last boss changed me in a profound way. Genova hits pretty hard, but with high potions, it was a non-issue. She's got 4000 health and takes 25 to 30 grenades, so the fight isn't as snappy as some former skirmishes, but we make it through the other side, get some nice experience, nice AP gains, and I hope to God I can buy items on this side of the world, or the run's over. Arriving at Costa del Sol, I very quickly check around for a weapon store, and sure enough, this beautiful schizoid in the corner sells Molotovs, and better armor, so we stock up and head out. Molotovs are neat. While they cost significantly more than grenades, they also have a higher damage output. Testing them on enemies, they seem to do around 400 damage, which is about 1 damage per gil. My grenades cost 80 gil and did about 140 damage or so, giving me about 1.7 damage per gil. But with these firebombs, I may triumph over battles faster, reducing my need for potions and the like. We make our way around some bendy bends and over to some abandoned railway tracks, or possibly a roller coaster frame. Steal from some baby birds, kill their mother, get some fat loot, and head on through to Buff Corel. I need the money, which morally justifies anything and everything, you know, plus we gotta pay 3,000 gil to enter the Gold Saucer, which is like 7 Molotovs. A couple story events happen, we get Cait Sith, get taken to jail, and fight our next boss, Dyne. This fella's pretty easy, even with my underleveled Barret alone. Molotovs make short work of him, taking him out in 4 turns, and my massive gun-armed friend only requires a single heal. Now, we're off for a day at the Chocobo races. We seize victory, are freed, and are given a buggy with which to make progress. On to Gongaga! Fucking hell. Who named these places? Funniest man in the world? There's not a lot here, but we get into a boss fight with Reno and Rude, and it's always nice to clean up loose ends. They're not too tough and don't really drop anything we can use, but they're dead now, which is the important thing. Next, we shuffle on over to Cosmo Canyon for a broken down buggy and a laser light show, then some dump truck magician tells us we have to brave it through a burial ground for ancient monsters that aren't strong enough to break through a steel door, the only thing keeping them sealed. This should be a piece of piss. After besting a handful of cunning traps, we have to burn a few Molotovs on these mandatory spiders that preface the boss. With a whopping 2200 health, a handful of these 8-legged freaks have to be peacefully protested before moving on. Now it's boss time, and this fella's rocking over 5,000 health, and it probably does other stuff, but I didn't get a chance to see it as he's undead. A single X potion is an insta-kill as it restores the maximum health value and he takes damage from healing. Given that X potions sell for 1 gil and a high potion restoring 500 health almost fully heals me, I'm not gonna miss it. But I will miss a fat stack of Molotovs. Speaking of, this place made me a fat stack, so I do a stock up, freshly armor my fellas. The intricacies are unimportant and uninteresting, just know that I'm like a firebomb Santa. Though I do genuinely ponder the HP up orb, which increases max HP by 10% and can increase to a whopping 50 with enough AP. The only thing stopping me is that it cost 8,000 gil and I gain about 50 health from it at this point, so I decide 20 Molotovs are probably better. Anyway, Nibelheim's up next. Arriving in town, you know the play by this point. I grab any stray items and dump them for cash. The mountains contain a couple trinkets I can liquidate too, so I do a quick run, and while I'm here, have a cheeky attempt at the next boss, Materia Keeper. This guy has 8400 health, which is a huge step up from anything we've seen before, but it should be okay, because I believe in the heart of the items. We enter combat, he casts Trine, a lightning attack that hits everyone for 500, practically one-shotting my entire party. I knew being underleveled would catch up to me eventually, just didn't think it'd be so soon. I desperately cast a Molotov to see what kind of damage we're working with, and he absorbs fire. Uh-oh. I can only buy Molotovs at this point, so I gotta do something or the run's over. Well, let's see if I can take him out with how many grenades I have left. I've got 59 on hand, and 130 times 59 is about 7,600. That's almost 1,000 lower than what I need. Fuck. Just a quick post-run note, I recently discovered you can actually take the buggy back to Junon, where I would have been able to stock my grenades back up. I didn't know this at the time, not that it would have helped much. Anyway, back to the video. This party's getting crazy. With what funds I have left, I head to the Gold Saucer, where the fate of the run rests. I try my hand at Chocobo racing, but the Switch version runs this room at like 10 frames per second and it was pissing me off. I dropped about 2,000 gil and won a single Arctic Wind, which casts Ice too, so there's potential here, but the luck required would leave me here for days and, you know, I can't be asked. I'll save this as an absolute last resort. Next, I attempted the Battle Square, as you can use a third currency to win a fourth currency, which can buy Shrapnel, effectively a non-elemental Molotov that hits all enemies. A huge issue with the Battle Square is that there's no monetary incentive and my gil stock and item pool aren't high enough to spam the Molotovs required to take these buggers down. Also, I got my shit pushed in, because I'm like level 15. The enemy zoo in the Nibelheim Mountains has a 14% chance to drop a Birdwing, which has a base power of 1,000, about 2.5 times as powerful as a Molotov. But they take 3 Molotovs and a grenade to kill, and only drop 430 gil, so I'm down 2 Molotovs every fight. On Mount Corel, there's a bird called Needlekiss with a 14% chance of dropping an item that casts Bolt 2, but they only appear in groups with other enemies. With 180 health, they'd take 2 grenades to drop, but the extra enemies make it too expensive to farm with my stack of 50 or so grenades that I can't restock. Hi, another post-scripting interjection. I should have rewritten this line. After a while of smashing my head against a brick wall, I finally found my out, and it's in the place you would least expect. In the adjacent jungles of Gongaga live an enemy called Flower Prong. Now what makes these guys special is that they have a 14% chance to drop an Earth Drum, an item that casts Quake 2 on every foe, and they also drop 400 gil on death, enough to buy a Molotov. As if that weren't enough, they're weak to fire, so a single Molotov will do the trick. It's gonna take a long time to get 15 or so Earth Drums, but it's free, and we'll also gain a shitload of levels. I am indeed feeling it now, Mr. Krabs. Only one of them rock up per fight, but that's good because they use Bio 2 and it does half my health with one hit. If I mash fast enough, I can hit the Molotov before I take damage. I did accidentally use a limit break once and I had to reset. Little too quick on the draw there. Each encounter has a unique camera position when they begin, so you can always tell when to start running or when to race to the item menu, which speeds up this part immensely. I stack 14 or so drums, and with a huge gain in levels from all that experience yield, slump my massive cock over my shoulder and head back to slay the fiend, who halted my progress for so long. With my newly acquired items and durability, I hold up significantly better this time, though the Earth Drums do just shy of 300 damage, which isn't enough to kill him. It's about half his health. I'm gonna need at least 30. There's no definitive amount that will guarantee a win, because this bastard, in addition to his high resistances and damage, also casts Cure 2 when he starts getting low, so I'm gonna need a decent excess to compensate for that. I also ran out of high potions, which eventually got me killed as I tried to grenade him to death, 120 damage at a time, to no avail. So more drums and more potions. Got it. Let's do some grinding. We're close. I can taste it. Instead of going back to the forest to farm more drums, I decide to head back to the Cave of Gi, where we fought the undead boss to find an enemy called Sneaky Step, who drops an item called M Tentacles. This casts Bio 3, and Materia Keeper just so happens to be weak to poison. I arrive at the door, and it's sealed. I guess I can't re-enter. Fuck.
Hoo-hoo! Come back when you need my knowledge!
Now why don't you give me the knowledge about how to get the fuck in this door? Had I more foresight, I'd stand a much better chance with poison items, but it seems like I will genuinely have to beat the tired old Earth Drum until I get lucky and win. I wanted to get through without grinding, but, you've got to do what you've got to do. I stack 30 Earth Drums and return to give him a go, front-loading the battle with grenades, then switching up to drums once he's half dead. He drops a couple Cure 2s, starts demoralizing me a bit, but then at one point I get a string of turns and hit the drum so hard it finally breaks. The beat's dead, and I killed it. That was insane. I think I've earned my progress, so let's go make some. On to Rocket Town. We talk a lot, get some loot to sell, and fight Palmer. He's pretty weak, so it's a non-issue. His spells do okay damage, but I'm so buff at this point that it doesn't matter. Now, we've got the Tiny Bronco, which is a plane, but it's this game's seafaring vessel, and it's time to recover from the nightmare of the Materia Keeper by, heading to Junon and buying 99 grenades. Our next goal is to get the keystone from Dio at the Gold Saucer. He wants us to do our best at the Battle Arena, which is a string of 8 fights with varying handicaps. There are rewards for winning, but it's not worth the amount of items you'd have to use, so you can allow yourself to die in the first round and still make progress. Next, I sell one of my materia for an easy 10,000 gil and head over to complete the side content in Wutai, as we've got some business to take care of. On approach, Yuffie steals all the materia. We're ambushed by 2 Shinra soldiers and pursue the adolescent ninja to her hometown. This part always sucks, as throughout the entire game you've relied on these power-bestowing trinkets, and now they're gone, but the one advantage to an items-only run is that it's gonna suck slightly less. I hope. We enter and fleece the place, then dump what we can, as Wutai sells Swift Bolts and Fire Veils, which cast Bolt 3 and Fire 3 respectively. They do cost 800 gil, but now we've got 2 additional damage items, giving us an extra element and attacks that hit multiple enemies. Yes, it's very sick, just as sick as our boy Don Corneo, who has captured Yuffie and wants to do bad things to her. We engage in a mandatory fight with 3 Shinra bad boys and use the Swift Bolt to do 1,000 damage to everyone, instantly frying them. Also, they dropped an S-Mine, which is a non-elemental item that does well over 1,000 damage. Thanks, fellas! Now, we chase Corneo up Buff Demon Mountain to fight his new pet, Raps. Raps destroyed me, I'm not gonna pretend I even stood a chance. Between his string of poisons and smaller melee attacks that barely spread out his casting of Aero, which does 1,500 damage, I did maybe half his health. Unlike the Shinra soldiers, who took 1,000 damage from my attack items, Rap took about 250, and he's got 6,000 health. This fight just got incredibly expensive. Oh well, we'll reload and try again. I need a tiny bit more health to survive the Aero 3, so I head outside to test mobs and what kind of gil yield we're expecting. There's groups of birds that die to a single item which costs 800 gil, and they drop 1,680. My money troubles are finally at an end, gamers. We've unearthed security in our run specifically designed to be as insecure as the person doing it. I get enough health to survive the big mean bad guy and also end up with a huge stack of X potions, as it seems like every enemy has a huge drop chance for them. They also yield a huge amount of experience and AP. Damn shame I don't have any materia. The extra levels didn't help a great deal, but the X potions sure won the fight for me. Also, the S-Mine dropped by the Shinra soldiers did 1400 damage to Raps, which is, much more than the 250 I was getting from elemental attacks. He did cost quite a bit to take down, but he also drops 20,000 gil and a peace ring, which will put me back in the green. Before leaving, I grab a few more damaging items, then head to make some actual story progress. Next on the chopping block is the Temple of Ancients, but there are 2 bosses in here, and I don't know if I've got the gusto to take them. Once you enter, you can't leave either, and in hindsight, I hesitate to say that after what I said about Junon. Anyway, I do a cheeky run through with about 20 Fire Veils and Swift Bolts, roughly 10 Molotovs, and a couple grenades. Eris keeps laying down and having micro sleeps, but this isn't the time to be laying about. We've got consuming to do. We smash through an Escher painting, harassing goblins along the way, then we bump into a dragon. Naturally, this bastard's immune to fire, but takes about 600 damage from bolts and dies with minimal issue. The second boss, however, is a big wall, and this dude hurts. He also takes bugger all damage from both the Fire 3 and Bolt 3 items. They do about the same as a grenade, and he hits too hard to whittle him down with that kind of damage. I try a Molotov, and they do just shy of 400, which is pretty good, so I reload my save, go back, dump most my Fire Veils for about 50 Molotovs, grab some softs, for the stoning, and then I rerun the dungeon. This time, we get all the items, lower our A-count press in Watch for Rolling Rocks, and arrive back at the wall. So, I made somewhat of an accounting error. I sold too many Swift Bolts and had to grenade the dragon down, but he's still not too difficult. Even miscalculated stupidity couldn't make him a threat. Then we clapped the wall with Molotovs, but it was pretty close. He did a shitload of damage, despite my recent grinding efforts. Now, we're free of Eris in the party, which is fantastic because her upbeat attitude was bringing me down, so I take this opportunity to sort my materia. This one may hurt some Final Fantasy VII purists, but I'm gonna sell all my summon materia for 1 gil. They don't appreciate in value even if you max them out, and they're clogging up my inventory. I sell everything with a similar persuasion and only keep materia that appreciates in value, because my money woes need to fix themselves immediately. I don't like needing to grind. A run like this should be as grind-free as possible, so gaining 20 levels because I need a more diverse inventory kinda sucked. At this point, I've got about 25,000 gil, and this is where my Final Fantasy VII knowledge becomes even more hazy. My main concern right now is what kind of attack items I should buy. Do I stock Molotovs or opt for some of the Wutai variants? We've seen that certain items are situationally better, so I've got to make a very astute, educated guess based on vague memories. I head to Wutai for some grinding. The enemies here yield a bunch of experience, but what I'm after is AP. My transform materia is so close to mastery, I only need maybe 15 fights to get it there, and a mastered transform sells for a whopping 350,000 gil. Maxing that out and pawning it off now rockets me to the 1%, where I'll look down upon the slum scum. Hey, maybe those Shinra guys were onto something. I grabbed 99 of everything. Fire Veils, Swift Bolts, grenades, and Molotovs. I think we just beat the game, boys. Why does Mastered Materia sell for so much when it's so easy to master? Like, is it to point out how useless Gil is except in this one situation? What a weird game. I stop in at Cosmo Canyon and pocket some of those HP plus materias I've been fawning over since my last visit for an extra 10% max HP, and then I do some digging, run through a misty forest, and arrive at the City of the Ancients. As I've recently acquired wealth due to a fine materia sale, the incentive to collect items from chests has dropped off pretty hard. Like, I'm still gonna do it, but the magic's gone, Because I sold it. Anyway, the next boss on the chopping block is Jenova Life. She comes packing 10,000 health, and our fire and bolt items do about 500 each. From what I can see, she's entirely water elemental, and Yuffie has a water ring, which makes her immortal. Cloud and Barret are so high leveled, I don't even have to heal. I clear this bitch with no issue. Aw man, now I feel bad. I'm pretty sure I just broke the game. Consider the juxtaposition, right? We started scraping up scrap and sucking dick for cock to clear long strings of enemies with padded health, then hours of grinding for drops to blast through elemental resistances, and now we're just throwing items and winning. There's no threat, it's boring. I ruined the run by being too good with money. Oy vey. Oy vey indeed. Moving after our boy Sephiroth, we do some snowboarding, climb some mountains, it's all fairly uneventful and snowy, but then we have to fight 4 giant icicles hanging from the ceiling. These take 1 Fire Veil and 2 Molotovs to clear, some easy experience, and I'm still rocking over 80 of each attack item. Boss time! Schizo! Hate to put a good Schizo down, I'd love to hear his take on market sentiment and the globalist elite, but we need to make progress. This fella is of 2 minds, and each is its own individual enemy. One absorbs fire, and the other ice. While I can't use my fire attack items, neither of them absorb thunder, and a Swift Bolt hits each head for just shy of 1,000 damage. He's got a fairly big health pool and dishes it out with a mix of water and ice attacks, which Yuffie absorbs, but she doesn't absorb the fire blasts. These do around 800 damage to each character, which still hurts even with our various resistances and large health pools. And he's got an earth attack that hits everyone for around 500 damage. One head goes down, unleashing a thunder attack that hits the whole party for 1000, and the only reason I didn't wipe was because Cloud absorbs Bolt. Hot damn! Okay boys, the run's back on. Then I kill the last head with a final item and Cloud reaps the entire yield. Well, turns out having near unlimited attacks doesn't mean anything if you can't take a hit yourself. Heading to the peak of Gaia's Cliff, we encounter something that looks a little bit like Sephiroth as Tifa worms her way into our party. Genova Death shows up and tries to hustle, but we're wise to her tricks. She's rocking 25,000 health, the highest so far, but has no real resistances. I do a little damage test, confirming that she takes 400 and change from the Veils and Bolts and just shy of that from the Molotovs. Everything's viable, it's just going to take a little while. She doesn't have much in the way of damage, and it seems largely based on fire. Barrett's got a fire resist amulet, and Tifa absorbs it, so we're sweet. All she really has outside that is silence, but unless there's a form of silence that blocks off item use, I think we're golden. Hang on, is there a form of silence that blocks off item use? My god, I hope not. Anyway, she focuses on Barret and Tifa enough that my Cloud scrapes on by with bugger all elemental resistances, and after dumping a fair stack in my inventory, she goes down. I'm not super happy that I'm extremely rich from selling mastered materia, but at the same time, I don't think this fight would have been possible without that lump sum. 25,000 health is a lot. If we're talking pure financials, we do about 440 damage from items that cost 800 gil, which comes out to a whopping 45,000 just for this boss. That's not even including Genova Life, who had 10,000, and Schizo with 2 lots of 11, which would have tallied around 70,000 gil depending on the items. There's a lot of story stuff. We get into a slap fight with an Aryan Queen, a planet squid gets his head blown off, then we're back in control, and piloting an airship. Now that the world has opened up, we get a few more options for damage. We can return to the Gold Saucer and piss our fortune away, or we can head on over to Fort Condor for a new attack item. S-Mines are now purchasable from Disc 2 onwards at a whopping 1,000 gil a pop. We get 99 of those, return to Wutai, restock our elemental veils and bolts, and we're poor again. The materia inheritance has run out, boys. However, we do have access to hundreds of thousands worth of damage now, which is pretty nice. I head to the Nibelheim basement to unlock Vincent, because, I don't know, I just hate leaving loose ends, and then we ignore all the other loose ends and head to Mideel. We find Cloud, then head over to Corel to run a train on a bunch of miners. Hang on, what? That's not what that means. What does it mean? This is a 10-minute timed mission where you string a bunch of mini-bosses, but failure still progresses the story. Instead of wasting my precious resources, since, you know, I'm poor now, I just wait out the timer and let a bunch of miners die a gruesome death. I think it's worth it to save a couple bucks. I'm telling you, that Shinra's got the right idea. The rewards for completing this section correctly are the Ultima Materia and a Summon, but I can't use either, not even for cash money. At this point, my Ice Materia is only a couple thousand AP from hitting Mastery, and that'll bulk my cash, so I quickly top that off, dump it for a small helping of Gil, just enough to buy my victory at Fort Condor. I forgot that I don't have to win, and it cost me like 40,000 gil to win, so I reload and I let the bad guys have it. The boss that rocks up from losing has 8,000 health, which is like 7 S-Mines, that's way cheaper. Then we get wrecked in a scripted battle with Ultima Weapon and save Cloud from his own subconscious. Now, our golden boy's back. It's time to fight some real bosses. Back to Junon for hopefully the final time, we infiltrate the underwater reactor and clear out a bunch of generics. Yuffie flexes her crane game proficiency, then we fight a giant spider machine. This boss has 3 pieces, the body and 2 arms. Being a machine, it takes extra damage from lightning, so our bolts do about 1,000 a pop to each enemy. He does pathetic damage until grabbing Barret, wherein our lightning spam pisses him off to the point where he crushes the poor dude's ribcage. Rest in peace, my brother. You were a real one. Everyone else is at full health, and the body pops a laser that takes them well below half, so I get Barret up, dump a Mega Elixir. I know, I'm a monster. Then we remove the arms and slowly chip down the body with S-Mines. The body's slow, so he dishes out one more laser, and we take him out. Bosses don't have a lot of health, but they are starting to hit like a brick wall. We pass the submarine pilot test with swimming colours, and then I head to the sunken Gelnica. I'm allowed to say that. My people are aquatic. This is a sunken submarine filled with some of the toughest enemies in the game, and some pretty decent loot. I tried to take one of the foes, and he hurt me real bad, so I just flee and grab all the shit. There's a boss battle with Reno and Rude here, but they're never worth mentioning. Damn shame too, because they're great characters. Like, if I were a Japanese woman, right, I'd definitely crack Rude's skull in my quest for gold. I grab everything on my way out and get pincer attacked and nearly die. Crazy stuff. Grabbing the ancient key at the bottom of the sea, we head on over to Rocket Town for some huge materia. I didn't remember the game having this many throwaway encounters with a handful of Shinra grunts, but our memory oftentimes protects us from the less savoury parts of our beloved experiences. At the top of the rocket is our boy Rude. Hang on, didn't I just crack your head open 20 leagues under the sea? How are you here already? He casts some sort of barrier on himself, but it doesn't stop my onslaught of S-mines, and it's not long before he goes down. This game's got some sporadic-ass boss placement. Anyway, then we do some rocket shit, we get the huge materia, Sid has a couple midlife crises, we stock up on S-mines, and head to Cosmo Canyon. Speaking to Bugenhagen and his big fat rumper dumper, there's some back and forthing in the City of the Ancients until we awaken a weapon who slowly trudges toward Midgar. It's boss time again! The harsh realization of him taking 0 damage from S-mines was eased by the discovery that he takes 1200 from bolt items, and with only 30,000 health, he goes down pretty quick. There's a hard stomp and some fire moves, but we've got high health and a good elemental resistance spread. It was such a non-issue that I didn't even heal, and this fella pays out 25,000 gil, which is more than enough to re-electrify my inventory. Once he's taken care of, we're back to Midgar for some reason. Moving on through, we come up against the first of many bosses. It's the Turks, again, but Rude and Reno have brought a friend this time, and she ain't fucking around. I have a go, but as the boys have lightning and fire absorption, this battle will absolutely tank my inventory, and I might need it later, so I take a death, reload, and skip the battle. Yeah, you can just choose not to fight him, so that's what we'll do. Now, this is where I get a very important materia, but I'm on the fence about using it. What item allows a character to use 2 items in a single turn, and also allows you to duplicate usable items? It is a materia command, but it's still the item command, so it's technically not breaking the rules, but also it technically is. I think for this run specifically, I'm gonna use it. I never said glitches were off the cards. In fact, I wish I could glitch past the opening 2 battles, but W item isn't giving me a strict advantage outside of removing a little bit of time from combat, as item's damage output is pathetically low. Anything you can do with W item, you can do without it. It'll just take a little bit longer. And no more evident is this than during the following boss, Proud Clod, who has 2 pieces, one with 20,000 health and the other with 60. Oh boy. This guy does no damage, but takes an incredibly long time due to his stacked health. Receiving about 500 damage from our items of the Elemental Persuasion and around 1000 from an S-mine, we slowly and painstakingly whittle him down. A few uneventful maps away is Hojo, the next boss. This dude has 3 phases. The first has 13,000 health and summons 2 buds to assist, but they take almost 1000 damage from elemental items, so they go down quickly, having achieved nothing. Very pathetic. Once his health crosses the threshold, we get his second form, Helectic Hojo. That's apparently a word. As I've got items that hit everyone and they do around 700 to 800 damage, I keep blasting away with the elemental until he drops. This one wasn't too bad, and next up is Life Form Hojo. This bloke loves his status ailments and still takes about 800 from a Veil or Bolt, but cops a whopping 1200 from an S-mine and only has 30,000 health. As Cloud and Barret have ribbons and Sid getting silenced isn't exactly an issue, he's as easy as the rest of the forms. After a short but sweet battle, Life Form Hojo becomes Death Form Hojo. Now, we're on to the equivalent of Disc 3. We can tackle Sephiroth whenever we want, but there's some shit I want to do first. Primarily, like reload a save before I infiltrated Midgar and farm a particular enemy for an item they drop. 8-inch cannons are the heaviest non-elemental damaging item you can get, and 2 enemies during this raid happen to drop them. The goal is to get 2 and then dupe them infinitely with W item and walk through the rest of the game. Cromwells in Sector 8 have a 4% drop rate, but this fat bastard here has a guaranteed payout, so I grab 2, dupe them, and then steamroll Sephiroth with my arsenal of 8-inch cannons, and that's game. What do you want? I did it, go watch another video. But you think the ending sucked? Well, this video isn't called, Can You Beat Final Fantasy VII with Items Only? Also, the ending is really good. Huh. Well, guess that's the game punishing me for half-arsing it. Another quality Square Enix product. Alright, I kind of felt like W item was cheating anyway, so here's how this is gonna go down. I gotta save in Sector 8 during the Disc 2 raid. That's right, I'm gonna do it a 3rd time, and I will not use W item, I will not dupe items, I will beat this game, and I'll be happy. Whoo! Now we're back at the point of no return. I dump all my materia, stock up on 99 of all the things I can buy from stores. That's S-mines, fire veils, swift bolts, molotovs, and grenades, you know, just in case. I head on over to Cosmo Canyon, give everyone 2 HP up materia for maximum survivability. Next is the Wutai grind to restock my X potions, which will be my main source of healing now that I can't dupe Megalixirs. And finally, but most importantly, we create a database. I handsomely created a spreadsheet of all the items I can get from enemy drops, and a few actually feature a 100% drop rate, so let's start by amassing some extra firepower. There's a monster called a Tornado with a 100% chance to drop a Birdwing, a wind-based item attack. They also have a 100% chance to spawn on a beach near the Temple of the Ancients, so let's go there and kill, I don't know, 99 or so? After an hour or 2 of fighting the same guy, I need a bit of a shake-up. I'd love to go smoke some Marlboros in Gaia's Cliff for M-Tentacles, but you can't return to it. This goes double for Gygases, who drop Earth Mallets, which cast Quake 3. The Malboros have a small chance of appearing in North Crater, and there's nowhere else to find the Gygases, ever, so 2 powerful damaging items are off the cards. I could farm dragons at Mount Nibelheim for Fire Fangs, which cast fire too. Unfortunately, they're not super powerful, and dragon spawns are low, so I'll skip them for now. Another enemy are Garudas on the Dachau Mountain for Bolt Plumes and Ice Crystals, items that cast Bolt 2 and Ice 3 respectively. But after about an hour of fighting, I only got 3 Ice Crystals and Bolt Plumes suck. Damn. Let's go to the Gold Saucer. I have a polite chat with a man outside selling GP, then I hit up the Battle Square and try to amass some BP, which is currency to buy Battle Square prizes. I want 3 speed pluses for my boys, it increases their dexterity, which I'm told increases physical dodge rate and the ATB bar speed. I also want 3 enemy lures to get into battles faster, speed up that grind a bit, you know? This'll cost me about 13,000 BP. After quite a while, I end up with 16,000 and bought 3 preemptive materia as well, which increase the rate of striking the foe before they get a chance to move. This will not only save on healing, but also significantly speed up the grind. I'm feeling pretty good at this point, so let's change that. Let's go kill Ultima Weapon. I chase him around the world for way too long, popping off S-mines where I can, doing 1200 damage, but he ultimately goes down, nothing super eventful. I didn't want to just book it to Sephiroth, so let's have a very quick check to see if it's possible to take Ruby or Emerald. I try Ruby first, and there is no way. S-mines do just shy of 100 damage, he seems to absorb all my elements, without W item, it's impossible. With W item, it would likely take real days of duping, healing, and item spam, but it is technically possible. It'd be stupidly difficult, but theoretically it's doable. Emerald is the last guy outside of Sephiroth, so let's see his card. He's weak to lightning, so despite S-mines doing just shy of 1,000, the Swift Bolts do around 1,500. A 99 stack means we're clocking in around 150,000 damage, but this dude has the most health in the game at a clean 1 million, so we're a fair bit away. However, our green friend is also weak to gravity. An item called TS Bomb would do 9,999, the maximum amount of damage. These drop from an enemy I have access to at a rate of 14%, and pumping through a 99 stack would be just shy of 1 million. This means Emerald is completely viable, but the timer is what kills it. Even if I undertook the hours of grinding to acquire the bombs, 20 minutes is not enough to get a full stack of damaging items off. Not to mention his annoying shoulder eye laser things, and the fact that I'd also have to heal and likely grind for elixirs too, as X potions alone aren't gonna cut it. If I had maybe an hour, I think I could take this limey bastard down, but as it stands, 20 minutes is simply not long enough. To remove the timer, I'd need to use the morph command, which breaks the rules, so Emerald gets to live. For now. I mean, also, this is another one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna do it later. Like, I can't beat him, I'm sorry. Ah, it's alright, we've got a couple story bosses ahead of us still, so let's head to the bottom of Northern Crater to finish it properly this time. The cavern itself is uneventful, so let's talk bosses. Genova Clitoris has 2 folds along the labia that are extra sensitive to almost every attack, so we hang onto our S-mines and use this boss as a throwaway to smash some Swift Bolts and Fire Veils. Though I do get bored at one point and start using S-mines, because I am a short-term thinker. She can barely do any damage, and we do around 750 with an elemental attack, or 1400 with an S-mine, so she doesn't last that long. With a whopping 60,000 health and a countdown timer that scares the fuck out of me, we clear her at the last second with a bunch of powerful items. Next up is Bizarro Sephiroth, and he's also not too bad. He's got a few bits, but they've got the tiniest health pools, and a couple items would be their undoing. The body itself, the main enemy, has a decent 40,000, but it dies rather fast too, as most items do around 1,000. His damage output isn't great, as both Cloud and Sid have missiles equipped, which have huge dodge rates for both magic and physical, but when this bizarre boy does connect, he does bugger all. There is one move that leaves everybody with a single point of health, and this scares the shit out of me because I'm extremely confident and hate my worldview being challenged. A cheeky Mega Elixir fixes that right up, and we keep grinding away. Eventually, he drops. Damn bro, look at that lean. Finally, we arrive at the big boy, Safer Sephiroth. That name's a lie, it's lying to me. There's nothing safe about this guy. He starts with a cast of wall, but that doesn't affect items as far as I can tell, and I've got a fat stack of S-mines with his name on them. The S is for Sephiroth. These do about 1,300 damage a pop. He blasts Shadow Flare, which generally does in the high 7,000s, but we dodge it. Following this, a melee attack is used, hitting a whopping 3,000. Pale Horse barely hits 1,000, but now he's ascended, and I can tell Supernova's coming. So I heal up and head out to check my chicken nuggies. This attack does most of my health, so I Mega Elixir up and use a Lunar Curtain, but not before Sid gets stoned. Cheeky bastard. The Sephiroth mind spam continues, with the big bad using Dean, which is just Quake 3 with a shittier name. Sid's getting low, but I want to keep the damage spam up, so I play it real risky. He ascends, I use another Mega Elixir just to make sure everyone's golden. This attack should give me enough time to cook another batch of chicken nuggies. Sid gets turned into a frog because I only have 2 ribbons, so I queue up a Mega Elixir and head for the toilet as another supernova is prepared. Gotta clear out those chicken nuggies. He casts Wall again as we spam items, pops another Shadow Flare on Cloud doing 6,000 damage. That's nothing. He rises again. Fucking really? The Pale Horse is off on the trot and I tried to edge out a win before Supernova popped, but I don't know what his health is or how far in I am, and I don't get it. Here we go again, a 3rd batch of chicken nuggies. I'm gonna gain like 100 kilos by the end of this video. A surprise technique out of nowhere, Heartless Angel, which takes 2 of my boys to 1 health, and he drops a D-spell, like, bro, just die. This is pathetic. It's like when someone is clearly lost with no hope for redemption, but they keep playing to fucking grief and waste time. Just let me win before my Switch crashes again. He ascends to the sky, and I'm so low on S-Mines, and... oh, he's dead. He's dead. We did it, boys. And then Sephiroth gets sucked into his own asshole and dies forever. Oh, wait, I forgot about the standoff. Oh shit, I can't use items. It's the end of the run. Right at the end of the game. They got me. It's scripted. Get fucked, Sephiroth, you loser. Well, that's a game, fellas. Other than the 2 forced encounters at the start, and I guess technically the final scripted battle with Sephiroth, that is Final Fantasy VII completed with items only. What a run. What a game. It's always one of those titles I don't remember being great, but then I replay it, and despite everything, I still feel the cosmos flow through me. I once again become one with the live stream, but, you know, in a being alive kind of way. As always, thank you for watching, and goddamn, look at those cans. Alright, now that all the losers have left, let's beat Emerald with items only for real this time. I give everyone a W item, which I definitely didn't cheat in, and I start chucking TS bombs like my life depends on it. Making amazing progress, this all goes to shit once his shoulder eyes come out, and I have to take multiple turns to drop them. They have 25,000 health each, and while active, Emerald counters me upon receiving damage. They are weak to fire, so a Fire Veil does around 2,300, and it takes around 11 to fully dispatch them. Emerald also takes about 800 per Veil, so in addition to the cascades of 10,000 damage, he also cops around 8,000 just from that. As we're being bombarded with counters and water lasers, we spam Mega Elixirs and try to outlast him, but the best I could do was about half his health. If there were a better way to drop the eyes, it might be possible. I'll be back for this green bastard one day.